through it this one time.
You know, a little change of perspective could do us all good.
It's very deep, thank you.
Yeah, it won't happen.
I get migraines.
I do too.
So I just like, it's just nagging, so hopefully just can't be looking.
Yeah, this last pregnancy, they finally decided my migraines were bad enough that I needed Imitrex. And it has been the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. Like,
Have
it
you ever
has
tried
changed my life.
Botox shots?
Well,
No.
like, you know, what
I
it is.
didn't have it during
Okay.
That's
pregnancy.
not the first
Migraine
spell to
medication.
take, is
Is
it?
it? Okay.
Because
Not
I have
usually
used that medication
water
too,
or
and
whatever.
now, like, I know my triggers, and if I feel it, like, I don't even mess
Maybe it's
around.
great that we don't.
Yeah,
So then you just.
because that's the thing,
Imitrex.
Imitrex,
It's like
Imitrex
a
always
shot.
works best if you take it when you, like, when either when you get your trigger or when you start to have whatever your aura is.
Oh, so it's not daily?
No.
No.
No, it's an
I thought
as
it was
needed.
daily, that's
Yeah.
why.
No,
Okay.
it's an as needed, and it is, like, everything else gets you to functioning and kind of masks it, but Imitrex is like, knocks
Go
it
on
out
with your
completely
day.
and you're fine after that. It's changed my life.
People say I cause headaches.
Did you do that?
I get so bad migraine.
They're not wrong.
Right?
Okay.
Since you brought it up.
Right. Are we good, Erin? Will this work?
I get most of my right here.
And then they do it here.
In your head? Yeah.
Oh, you get the Botox shot?
I did.
Well, I get the proper reasons for this.
You get Botox?
Same.
Me neither.
Same. All right, and thank goodness it's 5:30, so I'm going to call this work session to order. It is Monday, November 3rd. Up first, we have the Carver Bus Transit.
Thank you. Sorry. The conversation was so captivating. I wasn't ready.
Was it?
What? Yes.
Oh.
I know.
What's your favorite part?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. As you all know, we've been having a lot of conversations related to Carver Station, what the future is, what it looks like moving forward. In the memo that was included in the work session packet, there was some background about how the project was funded via the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant, or CMAQ, which was a federal fund that we ran through the Met Council to defederalize the funds as part of the CDA project. A lot of the information you've seen a couple times just in the conversations we've been having. Something that I think is interesting and to note is that when we received that CMAQ grant, it was anticipated that Carver Station would operate for 3 years based on the funding that we received, and it has operated for 10, which is given us a long time for riders to be able to use the service, but is indicative that ridership was low, especially post-COVID. There were some really consistent riders. We don't have that information specifically, like who the rider was, where they came from. Southwest Transit does. And anecdotally, they've told us that it's a handful of people that use the service really regularly. So it's not people who are taking their first ride often that are going up to the station just to say, oh, this works for me all of a sudden. So it's typically been consistent riders that use it to get downtown or to the U of M. So with the grant ending, we are thinking about communicating with that group of people to make sure they have the information that they need and that they can make a plan with some time. So we've been working with Southwest now to figure out what that communication strategy is. So also in the packet there was a flyer that Southwest Transit put together that we would post at Carver Station. We've been talking a lot internally, like long term, what does Carver Station look like, but also how can we continue to maybe service these people if they do have a transportation gap. So there is an opportunity that if they do live in Carver and they were accessing the system via Carver Station, they could use Southwest Prime to get to the next station. So we're flushing through some of those details with Southwest just so it doesn't feel like people are left with no options if truly this was their commuting, the best opportunity that they had. So we have information on the flyer for Southwest Transit as well as my information. So of course happy to share that story with anyone who sees the flyer. Moving forward, we're anticipating that the station will stay open right now since it's a library location, and it's a great little building. It has a nice bathroom for folks that might be delivering packages or out and about. So station is anticipated to stay open. We also understand the parking lot is used really heavily for farmers market, overflow parking, the organics event, so I'm
Don't
thinking.
forget the bus rodeo.
The bus rodeo, yes.
What is
the bus
overflow
rodeo.
parking? When you say overflow parking, what does that mean?
So if there's an event in Ironwood and that parking lot fills up, we typically tell folks if they have like a large event permit, that they
Okay.
should move over to Carver Station for additional parking.
How about for the school? Do we find people from the school parking over there?
Yeah, occasionally.
Okay.
It's not consistent that the lot is half full with school folk every day, but
It's when it's like an event night,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
a school night or whatever.
The only reason I was asking that is because if it was the school, is it something where we lease something to them? If it's a consistent basis, that they're using a city lot?
yeah.
I mean,
I would say it's not consistent enough that it would be an issue for us, but if it becomes something, we could absolutely have that conversation.
Okay.
So again, we don't have a ton of answers of what the long-term plan is for the station, but just wanting to get out ahead, give folks some time to think about a different route, should they need to take one. And then we'll get started figuring out what the future of Carver Station is. There are some things we need to work through since we did receive federal funding for the project. So as we start to learn more about what our options are, we'll keep you in the loop of what we're working on, what we're hearing. So just wanted to let you know that this will go up. We told Southwest that we were gonna run it through you. We'll get it back to them with a thumbs up, thumbs down, and we'll get it up on the station probably in this week, just so folks have a couple weeks to make plans, so. Does anyone have questions, comments?
So we've talked about this in the Southwest Transit Board meetings. Yes, it's underutilized. And the cost to run express buses for a handful of people is prohibitive. I think it's important that we maintain the facility, that we maintain the use for the parking lot. It serves us well for special events, the Renaissance Festival, State Fair, and Southwest Transit is also planning additional special events like transportation to games and other special events. And I also, who knew that COVID was going to happen? The world may change again. We could have an oil crisis like the 70s. Doesn't seem likely, but COVID surprised all of us. And what if the landscape changes for public transportation? So I think it's reasonable to maintain it as it is. I don't know what our costs are to keep the building, to keep the lights on. We'll have to figure that out, and maybe there's some cost sharing because we're using it for special events.
Sure.
With Southwest Transit in the future. I also think that Southwest Transit is changing, looking to go to a model funded directly by tax dollars as opposed to Met Council. And when that happens, Carver's residents will be more important to Southwest Transit, and who knows what that future looks like. So that's just a little bit of insight from the conversations that I've had in those board meetings.
well,
Thank you.
I'm glad that we're putting a notice up there. A couple things about the notice. When it says that it's ending, do we want to put anything on there, a little blip, that the city of Carver didn't cut this, that funding has run out for this, like our, grant funding or whatever, so that, we have a very small number of people up there, but people are gonna see that, right? And do we wanna maybe head off some of those calls and say, why did Carver cut this now?
I think that's answered by contact Erin Smith.
Okay.
It just took Erin 5 minutes to explain it to us, and we know, right, what the scenario is. I worry that we can't do it justice in a paragraph on here. The CMAC grant, we thought, and then COVID, and it lasted for 7 years longer than we thought it would,
I was more talking about like one line that said our CMAC grant money is no more.
nobody's gonna know what that is. I'm okay with.
Okay. My other one, if everyone else, okay, I'm just looking at you, so I didn't see anybody else's face. My one of the other ways to connect, do we want to add another paragraph so it's not just to East Creek? Do you want to say other options and have WeCab on there if that's still in business? What's the transit link one that we were just talking with the county about? So that people know that there's other things and other ways?
I think it's worth mentioning the county system transit link.
I would like to call out Transit Link as well, especially because we've been having conversations about going to that more primarily for the city, so
Yeah, I like the idea of doing that. I don't think we should do WeCab, because I don't think WeCab is a like service to
Okay.
anything that Southwest Transit offers.
Are there any other ones in Carver County or that run that we know about besides the Transit Link one?
It would be Transit Link and Prime,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Do you have any concerns about putting a mention of Transit Link on here on something that has the Southwest Transit logo on it?
No.
Okay.
I say that they'll need to run through it again too, but I don't
Yeah.
have concerns about
I
it.
don't think Southwest Transit considers that to be
Yeah.
competition.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just augment them to get people to a transit station.
Kayla?
No, that all seems good. I agree that we should put, if we can, we should put the link information on there.
Sounds good.
Thank you for anticipating my question as to when this was gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we share this on social media, I don't think it has to be on this poster, but I think if we share this on social media, we should reiterate that we anticipate special events still happening, like State Fair and.
Yeah, I don't think it was our plan to originate that post.
Oh, okay.
So if Southwest wanted to create something, we could share it at that point, but we don't anticipate doing a city specific.
Okay.
It's such a small group of folks that are impacted
Yes.
that we don't wanna open it up into seeming like something is drastically changing. when
Right.
For, I'd say, maybe all Carver residents, they're not probably going to notice a change.
That's fair. If we could ask Southwest Transit to include it in their messaging, I just think that that's a really easily anticipated question that we can
Yeah.
nip in the bud by answering right off the bat. The other thing is, you know, like, we have seen the reports, we know that this is truly a person and a half each way per day, like, the numbers are so low. And it's my understanding that Southwest Transit also knows their riders really well. Can they reach out and say, hey Erin, hey Eric, hey Kayla, like, no more? And like, just a little bit more of a personal, because a little bit of a belt and suspenders approach, if you will, because I get it that if they're using this, they'll see it every day when they go to the station, but what if they're out of work because of a medical event or something like that? I just wanna
Yeah,
make
we
sure
can
that
request
nobody's
a paper
surprised.
And I can tell you that the frequent flyers will be notified by the drivers.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? This, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
online, but it costs about $24,000 a year without any of the expenses that we pay directly to Southwest or Transit, like for utilities and property liability insurance, cleaning, and all of that to operate, just the building. So I guess my question is, how are we gonna pay for that? Where would we pay for that out of? Would we use any sort of leftover money from the grant for 26 and then just budget it out of the general fund after that?
The operations grant doesn't fund any of that, so it's already built into our facilities costs.
No, it comes out of the, park and ride.
So the grant was covering 80%, the city was covering 20%, so our costs have been lower.
Yeah,
Let's connect and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
yeah.
Who's cleaning it right now? Do we clean it or is it outsourced?
We have a service, right?
Yeah, our regular service cleans it. We do the parking lot, plowing snow, taking care of grass mowing, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
All right,
So lots more to come for transit, but this is the next step for Carver Station right now.
awesome. Thank you. All right, moving on, Public Works Facilities Tour Review. Andrew.
Erin, can you chuck that down here?
No,
We should
I'm
have
not.
sat closer.
I will gently pass.
Should have sat by each other.
I feel like that's always your seat though.
That was mine.
Yeah.
You're the only one that moved.
Use the perspective.
Hold on, we're all gonna move one seat to the left, ready?
Each week we're just gonna
Yeah.
shift.
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna talk a little recap of our tours. I have Jordan and Paul here tonight to kind of add a extra flavor, so it's not just me saying floor drains. We need to make sure they're good. But you know, I had a really great time on the trips seeing the buildings. I love going to public workshops and just looking at how they're doing stuff and like just compare it to us. It's a great kind of like check-in every once in a while. It's like kind of going over to your neighbor's house and saying, oh, that's where their kitchen is. And, but it's kind of, it's fun to look at that type of stuff. So Jordan, you want to talk about the shop area, kind of things you liked, things you disliked a little bit?
Yeah, so the seasonal mezzanine for the plows, I think really helps out a lot. The wash bay, I think it's important to have, to be able to fit 2 trucks in there. Also trucks with a trailer, still connected. And then pull directly out into the shop. I really like that aspect when you're done washing, so you don't have to go outside and pull around.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the shops that we visited had that cantilevered storage above some of those parking spaces, just to keep all those plows and blowers and everything else that Paul's got scattered around town into one spot, so they don't have to sit outside. You know, the wash bay. It was interesting. I think only one that we went to had a vacuum that we saw initially, to also keep the inside of the trucks clean. So that would be definitely something to think about.
Like a central vac versus a shop vac.
Right.
Yeah.
They kind of, Chan had like a
A little stronger.
car wash vacuum
Oh,
cleaner
okay,
type
that
thing,
was
you know?
before.
That was,
I would like to add a little bit to that, and I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you
No.
off there a little bit, but when we look at just these 2 pictures also, and we talk about the cantilever, and you say, well, why do you need that, or really, why do you want that? Not only does it, what Jordan and Andrew said, but it's already space that's there. And you're adding to that equipment storage space in space you would have had if you didn't do it anyways. So it's just utilizing that space. The other part about that wash bay is, I think, I really did like Chanhassen. It did look like you could just keep that flow of equipment coming in and out. They drove into that bay, they did their wash, which we all know, number one, that's important. That's all your investment. Every piece of equipment is an investment that the city has put out. If you're not taking care of it, cleaning it, then it's going to pot. So just that flow of coming in and driving through and be able to bring a truck and trailer in at the same time and park it, and tomorrow you're back in it and you're out the door in a nice even flow. So I think those are all things we should consider in how this is set up.
What are you doing now when you wash?
So right now, we only have one stall that has a pressure washer at it. And you have to bring a vehicle in, you have to wash it, back it back out, whether that truck sits outside or, I mean, when wintertime
So then you have
comes.
to squeegee the floor and stuff too?
Yeah.
To get it,
it's a lot of moving
Yep.
stuff around.
okay,
Yep, so you're dirtying up that one spot, and something else has to park there
okay.
to be stored.
And yeah, for this one, we did like the, one way in, kind of one way out, aspect of it. And for the middle, kind of a pull through, so you can pull, large trucks through, you're not backing up. In the middle parking there, the name's kind of slipping me now, but.
Yeah. So I think as we kind of start looking at, because right now we don't have anything, right? We don't even have a box yet, so we haven't really started this design process off. And as we saw all these buildings, like, Jordan's experiences working at shops and Paul's experience and my experience, how the large trucks are parked. Are they parked on the outside? Is it a herringbone configuration? Is it a pull through and everyone's going the same direction? So looking at those layouts and just maximizing space for parking is definitely something that's going to be important to us as we continue this. And then the department workshops, I think as we went to a lot of the buildings, I think every building had them. Some of them were crazy big, like Ramsey was, I think those rooms were on the scale of 15 to 1,800 square feet each. On the picture there, that's Fridley, and those are about 750 square feet, just for your wood shop, your utility shop, your park shop, just kind of those individual department workspaces. And one of the foremans made an interesting comment too about having those unique spaces and having those departments responsible for those, so you know who to go after when they're in disrepair, right? So everyone kind of takes ownership of this corner of my shop to keep it nice and tidy.
Can I add one thing to that too? If
Sure
you
can.
back up to that. So with these workshops too, a lot of the places we visited had mezzanines on top of them. Again, you're utilizing that space that you'd be having already. So I think as we get into this, what box are we building? That should be considered too.
So the only one I was able to make to was Cham, and I've been to Cham before, but thinking about like the mezzanine that we have even at our shop here. So if you're building new, are stairs okay to you be able to access that? Like there's no ADA something?
Correct,
Stairs.
because that's not open to the public.
Okay,
But the other part with that, if you notice, I think it was Chan,
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, you're right.
But they had a lift to get the heavy materials up there
yeah.
versus trying to forklift something up there and then having a possibility of not being safe.
It was
So,
also Chan that had to revamp their railings
you know,
for OSHA compliance, so,
Yeah.
but that should be baked into our architect's knowledge
Right.
of 2025 and not 2009, I think they built that one, but.
Okay. So stairs are okay, not if it's not open to the public?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I thought Ramsey had the best boot wash station, you know, something that I think often gets overlooked at a lot of places. There's not a lot of public workshops I've gone to that have had decent boot washing stations.
Usually it's just to kick the dirt out.
Yeah, and that's not only, you know, that's gonna save money in the long term just on carpet and flooring and all that type of stuff that the guys track in as we're patching roads and working in the mud and just giving a spot to keep stuff clean inside versus outside in the shop. So they had a good one. Floor drains is a thing that often gets overlooked as well. Chan had to go through the process, and they're halfway through the process of replacing their floor drains because they got rusted in and they can't get them out anymore. And then it starts rust jacking the floor and it starts cracking that concrete floor. I had a similar problem when I was in Rogers, and we were getting quotes to replace it on the magnitude of $50,000 to $60,000 to replace one trench drain. So using stainless versus cast iron, you know, probably more expensive in the upfront, but how those are designed are a big thing to last 50 years, so you don't have to replace them. Looking at the locker rooms, there are a lot of good locker rooms I think that we saw. You know, that's something that we don't really have right now. Giving guys a space to at least change before they have to go to, I don't know, parent-teacher conferences after work, or, you know, those weird events that you're just patching roads all day. Now you got to hop in the shower, and you can do that at work and keep your stuff dry and clean in your own spot. Another thing I liked at Orono is, I think Ramsey had as well, is just an outdoor lunch spot close to the lunchroom, just to give some options. I think lunchrooms are an important part of team building. You know, we eat lunch together every day and we're around each other every day, so, you know, keeping people there to talk during that lunch is important, because eventually, even though you're going to talk about football for 45 minutes, you might talk about work for 15 minutes. That might prove useful. So having those spaces for those conversations to happen is important.
I have a question, or maybe it's more of a comment. So I liked Chan because it was big and it had multi-use there for having different, you know, you could have a meeting for whatever for the city up there because it was so big, and then they had set it up so that it was very homey for the staff that was in there. If you go back to that outdoor seating, I'm wondering how much that would be used, and again, this is more of a comment as we just look at everything. Summertime, you guys are out working in the heat, so you're hot, you want to be inside in the air, right? And then wintertime, you're out working in the cold, so then you're going to be inside. And we know that our weather's a little unpredictable, so I just may want council to maybe be, if we're looking at cost for things, that maybe the outside becomes something that is a great want and maybe something for later, but maybe not in the original design.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between this pergola and laid brick floor as opposed to like a concrete pad that we
Right.
could throw a grill on.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
I think we're on the same wavelength there of we're not gonna have an outdoor or like one of those
This?
outdoor kitchens
Right.
with,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that space right next to it is one of those that, you know, you can come in and out of the lunchroom and it's right there.
right, and I have no problem, yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys grill yourself some whatever at lunchtime, I just think this is gonna be an spendy project and we'll have to look at things like that as to maybe we would leave space for it for future, but for current, maybe it's not on the highest priority list.
So going off of the used by the future.
Paul wants to.
No.
Yeah, I did want to add to that locker room also when we were looking at that. Seasonal employees, we can almost
Oh,
double our staff during the summer season. So right now, we do try and house with makeshift lockers for them. And I think that's very important as we go, that they got a decent place to change and keep their clothes to change them. So it's not just, I don't think for full-time staff, we gotta think about seasonals too.
Kind of building off of, you know, is the lunch space going to be multi-purpose? Are we gonna be looking at
Polling place.
polling precincts, whatever? Is the public gonna be going into that space, and how does that align with the entry, the hallway, going in there, blocking it off from the rest of the building? So, you know, how that stuff is orientated. And like Orono had the conference room right up front, similar to this situation where it can be accessed from the office, but also access from the public right by the entryway. So thinking about things like that and you know, what in 30 years from now, what is gonna be happening out at that public services building? Is building permits gonna be happening there? Are other activities that we don't envision yet happen there that we need a reception area or something? Is there space to build that out in the future? You know, there's a lot of questions in the office area. How many offices are we gonna even put in there? Is there room to grow, basically?
Just a little appendage to that, so I know, like, this building just opened like 6 years ago, but, you know, worst case, you have an office area that is easily able to be expanded through an addition. Best case, you maybe have an area that is built but is maybe not finished. But at the end of the day, you know, in 2025, we have 2 cubes left, and so I'm not sure how long they'll last, but there are pros and cons to the council considering a need in 20 years, and if not doing it, planning, kind of following that streak of planning for the ability to relocate a department out there. Again, not advocating for that space need today, but kind of following that line of, can you prepare yourself to do that efficiently and effectively by the way the building is composed, where you wouldn't have to move a bunch of bathrooms and the whole layout. If you wanted to expand, you just have to extend the hallway. It's just those little tweaks, I guess, if you will. Again, not wanting to build for a need 30 years from now for City Hall on top of this, but being mindful of it is something we wanted to at least present to the council for something to think about down the line.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something that I was thinking of too. We have some room to grow here, right? We can maybe get rid of the file cabinets potentially.
The web room
If
could
we-
become offices. Are you listening, Mike?
I was thinking the conference room downstairs, but yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of flexibility, and this will probably give us another 10, 15 years before we're bursting at the seams.
Great.
But I also think, like, just taking a step back and thinking like bigger of Carver's growth, At what point are we gonna need a second polling place? At what point are we gonna want to reconfigure, like who works out of this for office space? You've mentioned maybe building permits get pushed there, maybe it's the planning team, somebody, you know, gets pushed to a different location. Mayor Ryan gave us a tour of the Chanhassen City Hall last week, and the amount of staff that they have there for a community that admittedly is 4 times our size, but we're gonna get there at some point. So kind of keeping that in mind, this building will never be big enough to accommodate all of those folks, and I don't see this community having an appetite for a 3rd building, being it an office building or whatever. So I think we kind of plan, be it an expansion area or a roughed-in build-to-suit area. You know, I think that that's something that we have to keep in mind. I also, like, I guess I mentioned the polling place already, but keeping in mind the public being in there. And I like the forethought that Chan had about how people would kind of circulate through that building. But that also felt like you could just have somebody going like, hey, what are you doing here? You know,
Right.
like, I'd love to keep it a little bit more separate versus people breathing down your neck when you're trying to get something done on election day.
Yeah, I agree. So Chan, I mean, I said that already, is that big room has so many uses. I think it is important that we have that as part of it. Which places are these that we're looking at?
You can't see my mouse. This is Ramsey.
Okay,
So they kind of had a similar thing to Chan where you walk in, there's kind of reception area, a public bathroom.
okay,
They can close this off
okay,
to block off from the offices. And then there's this multi-purpose, that's their break room.
okay.
And then they also have a movable wall that they can shut. And then this is Orno, walk-in, reception, conference room, very similar to like this,
Okay.
which is kind of cool.
So Courtney, are you, when we're looking at these 2 examples, are you saying that you prefer this one that's more on the left where they kind of have the hallway and it can be blocked off to that? Or is,
I think I prefer what our architects can come up with.
Okay.
I think we don't want the public running through the, because could you imagine if election day was, let's say, in council chambers and we routed them through
Sure.
the offices back here? Like,
Right.
we don't want that.
Yeah.
So I would prefer somewhere where we can use it for a public use like that, but they're not wandering into people's
Mhm.
offices.
A lot of these sites that we visited too or had constraints on them, like Orno's had very specific site constraints, right? So they had this very narrow, long building. We're not going to have that. So that,
Chanhassen was the same way too, because they had that big
Right.
hill on the back
wall,
side.
yeah,
so
or
we'll,
hill wall.
we'll have flexibility
A little
in
bit of
that
both.
as we're going through the design process, that we're not locked into these tight constraints. So that'll be nice. And then Paul really wanted to talk about the mechanics, but
Can you tell me where these are again?
Right one's.
left one is Ramsey, right one is Orno.
Okay.
And as I look at them, I think Chan's was very similar to the layout of that. And really it is some of the finer things that have to be worked out, where there were things that we would change or want to change based on talking to their foremen or the people that were working there. But the gantry crane, that to me, it should be set up in that. Like I said, a back injury nowadays is what, 25, 30 grand per person that gets hurt. I think that's well the investment in my opinion. And then there's another one here too, where they have that blue lift that's shown on the left-hand picture. But it should be big enough where we can bring a full-size fire truck in. It's my envision that we're gonna be taking all those maintenance of all those vehicles back on again. I mean, once this facility is built. So to make it to the capacity that we can handle our own equipment is something we should be thinking about.
Everyone that had a gantry crane was happy that they did.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember though is the fluid station.
Yeah.
They wished it was at the front of the vehicle because they
Yep.
were pulling those hoses all over the place.
That's one of the things I was trying to get at too, and thank you, Eric,
Oh,
for
certainly.
pointing that out, but it was, some of this stuff has to get moved. Yes, they were great ideas where they had them, but they should be moved to a better location. But also laying out, one of my thoughts is taking a look at that left-hand picture. It should be set up where you can have small equipment, say a lawnmower or a tractor that you're working on, and it's not taking up a big bay, where all of a sudden now you got a big snowplow truck in there, and all of a sudden, well, wait a minute, there's a lawnmower sitting there, and now we can't work on this truck because the lawnmower's all tore apart. So it's setting up those bays for each size equipment that we have, if that makes sense.
And this, the picture on the left, this was the value in these visits, was like, that looks lovely to put all the fluids right there by the door. So everything's right there. There are 5 or 6, one stop. But to hear from the folks who are working on it,
Right.
where we walked up, well, you walked up, I eavesdropped, but to say, what would you do differently? And they're like, this doesn't work. We are pulling a hose from here to closer to the end where you see the red snap-on box. That's what we would do differently.
That's a great point. You pull in, you're pulling up to your toolbox, wait a minute, now you're dragging a hose 30 feet
Yeah.
to get to where you need to be. So there's just small changes like that, but now is the time to look at that.
So I think just overall, I think this was shared a few months ago when we talked about just project schedule, and we're still in the SD schematic design. We just went through the visits. We're gonna kick this schematic design off in the next 2 weeks with Tara and Ortel. So we submitted all the comments that we did on the tour, compiled all those, sent them off to Ortel. They had us fill out a kind of a worksheet as well, and just kind of say, okay, do you want this, 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 this? So he's gonna, put all that information together. He's probably gonna end up drawing 2 buildings, one for closer of today's size and one kind of like on a wish list size. So just try to give perspective and actually have a drawing to look at, just because right now we're just throwing ideas out, right? So that process will probably take through the winter, and then we'll have opportunities to talk about budgets. Tara will put together a budget of what those boxes are gonna cost, and then we can start to move into actual 60% drawings for the design. So a long ways off from any real drawings getting done, but this is where we start, and it's good to have these conversations so we're all on the same page.
And just one kind of additional piece kind of off the schedule for the calendar is, if we get those design drawings in June, then we would do community engagement all throughout the summer, the fall, utilize the open house in October, and
And
probably,
all the vehicles in the,
pardon?
leave all the
Yes.
vehicles in
I'm-
Public Works. I'm
I'm
serious
not
about
kidding.
it. Yeah, they should be all in there.
I love that idea. Let's demonstrate, and in the parking lot, let's show them what it looks like.
And then be in a position, probably, I would say, at the earliest, January of 27, to go say, hey, city council, what do you want the next step to be? Is it going back to the drawing board? Is it moving forward on a plan that you feel comfortable with? Somewhere in between, but that's kind of a menu of decision making would kind of occur after you get all that feedback over a 6-month period, to the point where residents are kind of sick of hearing about it, and they want a next step in one direction or the other to take place.
Andrew, you said Ortel's gonna draw 2 designs, one of present day needs and then one of future needs. Can you tell us more about that? Because I thought council didn't have much of an appetite to do
I think it'll be more of there's probably more of a, I won't want to say realistic drawing, but more of a bare bones drawing versus a wish list drawing. So
Okay.
Tara can put cost estimates together of those things that, maybe we want that bigger break room area that could function as a polling station, put that in there.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to see, okay, that's this many more dollars.
Okay,
Think of it as an internal, I mean, the public is still seeing this, but it's an internal exercise for the council to figure out what you wanna present to the community.
okay.
Rather than just saying, okay, this is what we came up with. It's a little bit of going back to that menu of like, oh, if we add this, this puts our budget here, so let's maneuver these puzzle pieces
Got it.
around a little bit.
Okay, speaking for myself, and I don't know if you guys feel differently, but I don't wanna see a building that will accommodate what
Right.
we have today. So, but the like, here's basic, here's extra,
Right.
it's helpful. Okay.
I have one more thing that I'd like us to pay a little bit of attention to, because Chan, I thought this was good. We're talking about all the functionality, the bays and the crews that are coming out, but the admin staff, they talked about how it was so noisy because they had basically the big pit there. And as someone who's had an office in a public works building, I know how it can be when the crews come in from out and they're talking about this and whatever. So I just think we need to be cognizant that the admin people, whatever that space looks like, has some separation from the rest of the noisiness and things like that, so.
Eric, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this has encapsulated a lot of what, I was on that first tour with you, and I see many of the things we gave feedback on. I don't think the plan A and B, the architectural designs, these aren't full architectural designs.
This is Chan's architectural drawing,
Jesus.
and then these are our buildings in their building. So we all went to Chan, right? I think
Yeah,
everyone
That's
in
our
this
building.
room. So this is our current public services garage area. This would be the Lions Park, and this is the PU building.
That's wild.
So we really could fit everything in their mechanics bay / washroom. So just to put, because it's tough to walk into those buildings and see the scale of them.
Yeah.
But when you look at our building, that's kind of puts it into perspective.
I think when we show this, we should have this be available for people to see. Make those squares of color on the inside so they're noticeable.
Yeah. That's great, thanks for that,
Yeah.
that has an impact. Erin, any thoughts?
No, I just want to reiterate that I was very thankful that we were able to get into Chanhassen on a different day, just to make sure that everybody got to see something. That was really helpful. And thank you, Paul and Andrew, and everyone else for putting together thoughts from the ones that the rest of us weren't able to go to, so. Yeah, I think there's a lot, I really want to see us build in such a way that if we have things that we want that we can add down the line, that we're prepared for those additions. You know, we might not be able to afford it today, but let's build so that we can afford it later.
Agreed.
All right, should we get what you needed from us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
How are we doing on the vacuum truck?
Oh, we're still in talks. I've not forgot about that one.
All right, moving on, the 2026 fee schedule.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay.
This is
Is it on?
the first look at.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. They're like getting out while they can.
Yeah.
See
You're
you
welcome to
guys.
stay.
You should go.
This is the first peek at the 2026 fee schedule. This is the proposed draft. We do this every year around this time. I apologize if I stumbled through this. I didn't quite prepare the entire thing, so I'm just kind of playing back up for Vicki here. But so every year we adopt an ordinance to establish a fee schedule, and I'm going to take a look at the timeline here. So tonight we're going to review the draft fee schedule and then provide feedback to staff on what you want changed. December 1st, we will hold the regular public hearing, which will consider adoption of the fee schedule, and that doesn't go into effect until January 1st. I will note that throughout any year, you can make changes to any fees. We just have to go through a process of updating the ordinances. So So here's some proposed changes, I'll just kind of summarize them and then we can take a look at them and fee by fee if you would like. So with the rental facilities, we're proposing 4% all rental fee facilities rounded up by the nearest $5. Utility fees and rates, we did review these in detail. And so I do have a separate memo for them, and I'll review all of those, because it's water, sewer, it's connection, it's developers, so that goes into a little bit more detail with a separate memo. And then business permits, service charges, most fees are increasing by $4, again, rounded up to the nearest $5. The labor charges are going to be changed to the cost of the labor. And then liquor license new for this year, some liquor licenses are set by state statute. But we will be having a public hearing because some of those liquor license fees will be increasing. We haven't increased those fees for a while, so. Building permits, most of those fees will be increasing by 4%. And Erin also wrote a separate memo on this, increasing the chicken coop fee and combined with fence and shed permits. It just makes more logical sense. Planning and zoning, some fees were increased by 4%, and miscellaneous, most fees increased by 4%. So what you'll see here is you'll see the attached fee schedule with the 25 fee and then the proposed 26 fee in red. So any change that was made is in red. There's gonna be a lot of red this year, I think, with the 4% recommendation. So we'll just kind of review it. Anything that you wanna stop me, I will stop. So utility rates. We did review these during my enterprise fund presentation. I will review them again if you'd like. So water fund is proposing a 3% increase to all fee structures and connection charges. Base rate for the sewer fund, we're proposing an increase from $5 to $8 and a 5.5% increase on the volume billed. The sewer connection charges we're proposing a 3% increase for 2026. You know, a lot of that is driven by the Metropolitan Council and what they bill through to us as a city. There are no increases for 2026 planned for stormwater rates for both residential and commercial customers. The water testing fee, it's also called the safe drinking water fee, and you see that on your monthly bill as 81 cents, and it should be throughout the state of Minnesota. That's changing to $1.27 per month, and that is a pass-through fee, so we collect it and then we pay it on. So that is increasing as well.
So we have no say in that fee?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then fees for all parts and meters, initially to be set at a 3% increase and adjusted as necessary during 26. So I have some different examples of gallons used, what different utility rate bills would look like. And I think I did this also during my enterprise fund presentation.
Has it changed at all since then?
No,
Okay.
it has not. And then I'll have Erin explain.
No major changes across the board for us, just a 4% increase, which is consistent with what Lynn said. The zoning permit covers a lot of the things that we do in our department, so it's sheds, fences, retaining walls are going to go on there, and then the chicken coop. The three that I first mentioned were $40, chicken coops were at $25. It was tough for us to track. Someone would call and say, how much is a zoning permit? And we'd say $40 usually, not asking, like, are you specifically doing a chicken coop? So just keeping it consistent across the board for staff and residents, so we can keep that one fee to say all zoning permits are $40 since they all come in on the same form, require staff review and an inspection.
Can I ask a question about the 4%? How did we arrive at that? Is that a function of looking at everything we spent in the previous year and costs and what we took in for fees? Is it a function of just cost increase, like a cost of living increase? How do we arrive at that?
You can take that, it's kind of the latter, it's the cost
Okay.
of kind of inflation and the, I drew a lot frankly on this idea, this kind of goes back to probably the last decade for I think it was at least 6 or 7 years, the city did not change its water rates. It was at $4.90 something per thousand, and we had 2 tiers. And at the time, it was like, you know, there was a lot of, and there still is a lot of feedback related to water rates. And I was a strong advocate for keeping those rates even though we had the long-term financial plan. And I would argue in retrospect that our rates are probably higher today or increased higher because there wasn't a continuous kind of increase. And we even look at the liquor license fees that the council reviewed last year. You know, it was over 15 years, probably closer to 20 since the city had last reviewed liquor license fees, and then there just became this kind of big saddle to like how you're going to increase these rates to kind of catch up. And so this represents a more incremental, hopefully bite-sized piece, as opposed to like waiting and then trying to catch up. There are pros and cons to each. This is not the way to do it, it's one way to do it. But that's where the 4% came as a reflection of what the CPI, inflation, et cetera, is doing. I'm sure there are areas where it's maybe plus or minus on that, but that's kind of the foundation of the
Understood.
rationale.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Me? You said what? Oh,
No.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't mind interrupting you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a teaser for next year. The Planning Commission is going to take a deep dive into the Parks Master Plan over the winter. So anticipate that as part of our 2027 fee schedule. We'll talk probably a lot about park dedication fees, so.
And we don't
Either
have-
way, but
That you brought that up, so we're not going to have a Parks Advisory do anything with that anymore? Did we?
what's gonna be, go ahead.
We have that as a scheduled work session item to get the council's input on what you want that to look like. We had that, and then whether or not there should be alternates on the commissions as a strategic plan discussion for the council to have, so.
Okay.
Just wanted to point out kind of one additional thing with the council related to water rates, and you know, there is some resident feedback on the city's Facebook page when we posted the rates in the agenda guide. And one of the things, because we had a resident ask like, what were rates in 2016, and one of the things that occurred to me that has changed since 2016 is the council added a third tier, and and as you know, you've asked about like maybe looking at a fourth tier. And at the time that change was made, the council was passionate about making essential water the most affordable it could be. And so there was a reflection in that, like that first, I think it was 5,000 gallons is something that kind of everybody uses. So kind of through our structure of changes and adding that third tier, it's more expensive just because of the structural change, the fee structure, to use 8,000 gallons than it would 10 years ago, because the threshold for going from the first tier to the second tier back in 2016 was the first 20,000, and then at 20,000 you went up, and now that it's, what is it, 0 to 5,
And then 6
to 10,
10.
and then 10 and over. And so, one, that's just kind of some historical context for how that system has changed, and then two, as you maybe contemplate into 2026, adding a fourth tier, you know, what that may mean, because I would offer them, most of the feedback that the city gets is during the irrigation season, and that's where the bills really can stack up if someone really waters their lawn.
I get feedback all year round. I'm just saying, for the council, I get feedback.
I'm not saying that we don't, I'm just saying the majority of feedback, that's when our bills are the highest, is
Sure,
in the
of
summer.
course.
You
That's
know,
why
we-
it comes into the city, right, that you guys hear.
Right.
I hear going to the gas station or walking down the
Right.
street or.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying I
yeah.
don't hear that year round either, I'm just, the reality of it is, like, for the average family of four, it's about, you know, $100 or $125 a month for that 5 to 6, and you know, I'm not familiar just in my household use of any other utility bill I have being less than that, and so just kind of understanding that perspective and comparisons because it's not Excel serving utilities throughout all these cities. All of us charge fundamentally different rates depending upon where we're at. And so this isn't an ask, I'm providing some historical context, I guess, to hopefully help your conversation as you give us some direction.
So Brent, in 2016, we went from 2 tiers to 3 tiers?
Not in that specific year,
Oh,
but
okay.
that we were still operating under a 2-tier system.
Okay,
And as we've talked about, it's not the kind of the average user that's driving our need for additional capacity at water treatment or the water tower.
right.
It's the folks that are using that, we're planning for that highest demand day, and that's where the need comes in at the water treatment plant. That's where we'll come in at the next water treatment plant, is those days in July and August. But if our use was like it is in November and December, we wouldn't be talking about adding another water treatment plant
Right.
for probably another 20 years. And so those are all just little bits of kind of ingredients that would go into kind of how you want to provide direction and leadership on this issue.
A couple ways we can go about it. Well said, Brent, thank you. Couple ways we can go about this. We can go per section if you want. If you want to go line by line, or if there's a certain place you'd like to go. Otherwise, I will just kind of start with the rental facilities. If anything jumps out, just stop me. So we have ball field, field lighting. All of these fees are going up.
If I can suggest, Lynn, like what we've done before is like any comments on page 1?
Perfect,
Okay,
love
next.
it,
Okay.
thank you. I needed that direction. Okay, so any comments on page 1 of the rental facilities? And any comments on page 2, Village Hall and key fobs of,
I have one.
Yep.
And it's minimal. I
Mhm.
mean, most of these are $5 jumps, or close to that. The Riverside campsites, they've been closed for a while, and we don't really offer much down there. So I'm just wondering why, I mean, we're not running lights for them, right? There's no key fob. Well, they're primitive. We have a biff down there at the park, which we always have a biff down there at the park. So I just don't know that we should raise that one, because I don't see that we're offering them anything really besides the moonlight.
They're not gonna be open in 2026 either.
Maybe outside
Oh.
shot.
Okay. I don't have any, it's $5. I don't have any concerns with that.
What is that?
Using it.
I just think we're raising it for nothing. There's no cost that's increased to us in the city because of that would reflect on a campsite.
I will note that we did get a new reservation software program that increased our software costs about $4,000 a year, not just for campsites, but for the whole city. You know, that's just a note. But
Well, if we can correlate it to that, then I'm fine, but that's the only reason I would say that we should raise it, because otherwise to me, there's no correlation to any cost increase on our end. We've even stopped mowing down there, for the majority of the park, so there's even less happening, so. Okay, we can go to 35, then that's fine.
so utility fees, any notes, comments? It looks like, under the notes, it looks like a line might have gotten deleted there under the trunk line water. I will fix that. Where everything else says like paid with building permit.
It probably says that exact same thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's just an error there. I'll make sure that gets fixed here. My memo might have been wrong as well about, I think I said 3% increase in water meter charges. I'll make sure that my memo is corrected.
And I believe, Erin, the trunk line gets paid with plating,
Yep,
so
we'll square that one away.
we'll get that corrected.
Okay. All right, and now the next page. We have sewer, stormwater, and then here are the tiers. Here's that Minnesota Department of Health. I just added in so that it's noting that it's paid through Minnesota Department of Health.
Just a little note on the tiers, that, I think I mentioned this to the mayor, but if you consider adding a fourth tier, there are some potentially unintended consequences with some of the HOAs, like irrigation, they would be impacted. There are like some of our high density, like the apartments, some townhomes are all on 1 meter. So fundamentally, they would be paying probably more unless we,
Didn't we talk about having a carve out though for multi-dwelling?
You can, I'm just saying like those are things that we'd wanna think about of like, if you had, let's say, 68 units in an apartment complex, we probably have to think about an ordinance and then a system within our accounting software that could create that, but it's not as simple, just add it. There will be some additional steps that you'd want to take in order to kind of get at that. Or, car wash has come up too, of the, some of the feedback that I've got anecdotally from folks interested in car washes is not so much the recycling, it's the cost of the highest tier of water that we have. And so, because the recycling thing has become pretty prevalent throughout the metro, but if you look at their water as their main source or industrial water user, and they're paying for that, just something to, again, contemplate. I'm not looking for you to like say thumbs up or thumbs down, but as we present that, we'll give those as thought bubbles for you.
Can you explain to me what you mean by the recycling thing?
Correct.
It's the thing that they recycle.
For the tens and tens of people
Yes.
watching at home.
Yes, I appreciate you naming that. So, prior to Fleet Farm developing, the city created or adopted an ordinance that requires there's a percentage of water recycling going along with a car wash, and that one provided a credit to Fleet Farm related to some county requirements for water usage, but it's
60%.
60%. And so it involves some mechanical equipment that go in there, and so Fleet Farm, to my knowledge, still has that equipment per the ordinance. And anecdotally in the past, that there was a narrative that maybe that led to the reason why Quick Trip maybe didn't add a car wash, although they haven't said that to us directly. But in kind of recent times, as you've noticed, like in Waconia, kind of throughout the metro, there's been kind of a renaissance for car washes. Soda Shine and
Mr. something.
Mr. Something.
I'm gonna open a
I
car
wanna
wash
say
called
Mr.
Mr.
Twisty,
Something.
yes.
We should do ma'am something.
Yeah, something.
But I think that
But something.
in those discussions, it's been not the recycling thing, even though that's a cost, and I think the trend line has been a lot of cities are requiring that, and it saves them money after the capital cost. It's that highest tier, and so it's kind of two interests that are competing, because the cheaper that the city makes that highest tier, the more water people are going to use, which then places a demand for more infrastructure. However, it does have an adverse effect to someone who wants to use a lot of water as a part of their business.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that, but long answer to your short question is recycling thing is a 60% requirement for recycling water as a part of a car wash.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
I have a question on this page. So on the bottom two, so the water use restriction fine. What is this? What is the water use restriction fine, first violation?
So,
Go ahead.
that's watering outside of the city's ordinance times for outside irrigation.
Okay. Do we need to note that somehow? Like, so it's, if we have a watering ban on and you get caught watering, that's what that fine is?
No, well, yes, but we have odd even days, so you're only allowed to irrigate on, like if your address ends in an odd number, you can only irrigate outside or water your lawn on odd numbered days and vice versa.
In between hours too.
And
We have an
between
excep-
certain hours,
We have an
yes.
exception for people establishing sod.
Yes.
Correct.
If I remember
Correct.
correctly. Okay. I remember applying for that.
I don't, truth be, I don't know if in my time here we've ever issued a violation for that. It's more of a warning, like a friendly reminder, please don't do that.
Right.
My husband forgot one time and we got a knock on the door.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, it's not very clear what it is
Yeah,
when I read it.
Changing the wording.
Yeah, maybe it says something so it's a little bit more clear what
Yeah,
water
we can
use
do that.
restriction
I'll
applies.
make a note.
Thank you.
All right, next page. Business permit service charges. All right. And the liquor licenses. So it looks like we discussed some of these at the work sessions for the intoxicating liquor. On sale wine went up.
And on the on sale intoxicating, that's part of a kind of a phased in approach. I think we had that documented in a previous council memo, so that'll go up over a period of, I think, 3 to 5 years or
Yeah.
something like that.
Erin, I think this is more for you because you're dealing with these businesses more often than anyone else, but are we in line with the communities around us? Are we still competitive with these numbers?
I can't answer that. That would be like a Vicky city clerk.
Okay,
She manages that process, but we can get back to you.
that would be good to know, thank you.
Are you talking, you said on liquor licenses?
Well, we've talked about it with liquor licenses. I've seen those numbers,
Yep.
because we talked about that when we talked about liquor licenses, but I'm talking about just as a general on these fees, because I don't want us to be going up at such a rate that people don't wanna do business here, they wanna go
Oh.
elsewhere because competing communities are gonna have.
Can you speak
I
to a
haven't-
little bit like development, like your application fees, et cetera?
Yeah, generally I would say no feedback is good feedback.
Yeah.
When park dedication fees go out, we're really intentional to engage with folks that are building in town. We did that with water rates too, when they increased, so even if a plat wasn't in the process, but we knew they were working on something, we had a letter that went out, we had a lot of conversations. I'll also say before we did the last big update to our park dedication study, we floated it by developers just to say, how does this land for you? Everyone is going to say it's too expensive because it's
Yeah,
a
it's
cost
a
that they
business.
have to pay.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't get feedback about it, so I'd
Okay.
say no news is good news. And then the other piece is that park dedication in other communities can be a percentage of a project, which is challenging for a developer to figure out like what's included, what's the percentage. So the fact that ours is a fee that they can find and that's a flat fee per unit is generally really well received.
Okay.
And there is, I know it's a big document, we can find it, but in the long-term financial plan, Northland has a table that shows how we compare to our peer cities on development charges, and we were, I would say, middle of the pack related to that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I remember those charts.
On some of these other ones, the transient and the mobile food, just from working at a different city,
Yeah.
they're kind of all over the board. I know
Okay.
that at my previous place, it was like $100 for the mobile food unit. But other cities, you can kind of set them, and so if you'd like, we could, do a.
I don't need a full workup, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that
Yeah.
we're not pricing people out of doing
No.
business in Carver, I guess is really what I mean.
And for the development fees, those are essentially pass-through fees.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
none of the big builders are taking it.
No, they're
and
not,
paying for
they
it
never do,
themselves.
yeah, they include that in the cost of the home that you buy.
And in recent kind of like memory related to the council, when some of these have been added, I think the council has been like a very conservative with the cost, so
Yeah.
we, whether it's the ATV or the community gardens, our fees are, at what it takes to run, so I'm not saying other cities charge more than they should. I'm just saying we charge what it costs, so.
I can see that in the numbers that we have.
Yeah.
These seem to be eminently reasonable business permit fees. This is specifically what I have staring at me on my computer right now. So I'm not concerned. I just wanted to confirm that we are within the realm of normal for making sure that,
If it'd be helpful, it would be a big endeavor for us just to pull fee schedules from some of our peer cities. They're pretty easy to find on websites. If you're interested in that, we can forward that out to the council.
yeah, that would be helpful,
Yeah.
thank you.
Perfect. This next page, large event permits, special services, reimbursements, any questions here?
So when it says cost, will we post the cost? Like what we think that is per hour? Because we're changing it to cost, so how's someone gonna know what that is?
That was my question too, thanks for asking.
Also mine.
Large even, special, so I suppose if it takes public services, I guess I'll have to get back to you on that, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I think we could be fine, like, I think that's, I probably did overlook that. I think we'd be better off just having a flat fee, because depending upon who's doing the work, there could be a wide spectrum of that, and it's gonna be more work on our side to figure who, like, did Erin do it, did Lynn do it, did Austin do it, et cetera. And so we have that flat fee, so I would offer that we, kinda similar to how, pay changes, that we just increase that by 4%.
Cause I think what's been happening is, like, for example, the street closure notifications is the postage plus whoever is doing the mailing, their time. And I don't know, like you said, Brent, how we would do that with public services, so, yeah.
I would, I hate doing this on the fly, but I would suggest dropping that 2-hour minimum down to an hour, just,
Yeah.
I agree. Then it's real cost, real time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Change to flat.
Maybe we should include in there, like, do we bill by the half an hour? How that works, just,
What
I
the
wonder if
increment
somebody's
is.
taking a look at this and planning an event to be able to figure it out and be like, oh, I guess I'll need 4.5 hours.
1 hour minimum
of
billed by
help.
half hour after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or whatever that is.
You know,
That's true.
the 2-hour minimum, and we're trying to get away from this, comes from if we have to bring somebody in on the weekend. Because then it is 2 hours, but if we don't have to, then we don't wanna be in a position to do it by ordinance, so.
Right.
Recognize that if part of the person's request involves someone coming in at 2 o'clock on a Sunday, they're gonna be on the hook for that 2 hours of overtime, or
Mhm.
I guess it would be at this cost, and there could be a spread in there depending upon someone's wage. Am I saying anything that?
I mean, it's just, it's so tough to
Right.
just make it easy for people, and
Yeah.
and we can deal with
I
it on
think-
the back end.
And user-friendly wise too, I think, that for the user looking at that, having just what the cost is.
Right,
is gonna
and
be
if
so
I have to
much.
bill something out, it makes it easier for me too, so, yeah, great feedback. Building permits. Oh, okay, so it looks like, I'm like, what changed, Erin? No, I'm kidding, it's, so it looks like the base fee here, of how you calculate it first stayed, but it's more so the incremental part that's changing on this first one, but then down here, it looks like it increased moving forward, so. It's really fun calculating building permits if you've never done it manually before, so,
So shout out to Natalie.
yep.
Lots of gas afloat.
I used to have to do that too, it's really fun. All right, should these have changed?
No, Nick is gonna do a deep dive, it's probably gonna review, or require some Dave attention too.
Awesome.
When you say these, what are you looking at?
The
Um,
remainder that have
yeah.
not changed.
Building permit
Okay.
administrative
This will be
fees.
27.
Okay.
Okay, we're almost done. And then other inspection fees, it looks like we just added some verbiage there.
I'm just looking at this minimum of 2 hours, since we were just talking about
I
the
know.
other thing before, so.
Okay,
Hold on, no, I'm
Oh.
reading.
I think that'd be a fair comment. To reduce that to 1 hour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to 1 hour?
yeah.
more consistent.
Okay, so, gosh, my writing is terrible. Other inspection. Perfect. Next page. That's that chicken coop,
Zoning
changing to the
permit.
zoning permit to incorporate all of them.
Is that a one-time?
Yes,
Okay.
And therefore, we're crossing this off.
so it just goes to zoning permit.
Yep.
No, that's fine.
Makes
I just
sense.
didn't know, because it doesn't say one-time fee,
Yeah.
but I'm just making sure. Okay.
And these are all going up by that 4%. Same with all of these. So we don't get a lot of nuisance, like long grass, shoveling, mowing type things. But we did have a couple and it was very confusing. There were way too many staff members involved in trying to figure out what to charge. So to fix that, we said $200 service charge per city lot or actual contracted labor if third-party vendor is used.
And kind of below the surface on this is, we had found that in many cases, we are the most affordable way for someone to actually get their sidewalk shoveled as opposed to, so.
And they're lawn.
Some people were just saying, well, I'll just wait till the city sends it because they'll do it cheaper than if I hired my own
Gotcha.
person. And so we don't want that to be the case as a course of habit.
So in conjunction with this, we may need to change our code because in certain ordinances, it actually lists out amounts of money. And we want to get away from that. We just wanted to refer back to the fee schedule. So I'll be looking at that too. More to come on that. And here, fire department, also going up.
And these costs are very rarely
Yes.
charged out. It mostly happens, like as it says, with illegal or intentional fires, or if there's some type of an insurance claim related to it. But as a matter of course, we don't charge for like our regular responses for fire service.
Yep. Oh, it's the end.
We made it.
Any other comments?
Oh, thanks for going through
No.
those.
Yeah, I probably don't have time for the other thing that I was gonna do. Do I? Okay, I'm gonna give it a whirl.
All right. General fund budget, review and discussion.
It's gonna be a quick review, and I did throw up some slides here just for fun. This is an update. So we did just recently have an update from our new health insurance broker. Unfortunately, it's a 17.76 proposed increase to health insurance. We're looking at going with Medica. The reason for that, it's a lower deductible, and that's great. But
And we are with Blue Cross Blue Shield, right?
Correct.
So it'll be a provider change.
yep, we have our meeting this week. Looking forward to it. We budgeted for 15%. You're thinking 17.76. That sounds like so much more. It's about $4,500 more planned in than what I planned for in the general fund. That's if everybody who's enrolled right now enrolls again. I planned for 15% increase to dental. We're getting a 4.8% increase, staying with the same vendor, which is Health Partners.
Good job.
I didn't do it, but thank you. Which, with this lower out-of-pocket deductible, we, as the city, have a lower liability for our HSA contributions to the employees. So we have a 9% decrease than what I planned for, so that's a $7,000 savings in the general fund. I am looking at probably just breaking even here. The Minnesota paid leave premium, it doesn't make sense for us to go out to market. As cities, as businesses, you can use the state or you can get a private carrier. The private carriers were all more than that 0.88% of all wages. So we're gonna use the state this year.
It's still a $20,000
Right.
cost, so it'll be, again, probably one of our suggested legislative priorities in that the city already provides this benefit. And so this is in addition to what you're already providing at an additional cost of $20,000. And frankly, it can be used to kind of double, in some cases, what the city already provides by like time. So you can take we have catastrophic sick bank, so you could take 5 days of PTO and then use up to 12 weeks of catastrophic sick bank. And then you could go into the state's program and take another 12 weeks off. And so there's some real serious implications for cities and counties, et cetera, that I don't think was contemplated.
Every business.
Humbly would
Yep.
think that wasn't contemplated by the legislature for public entities when they created this new legislation.
No unfunded mandates.
So, go back please.
Yes.
I have a question. So, One thing that I brought up in the past is, I know that we're always shopping around for our best healthcare deal, but so that the employees also feel some stability in their healthcare, when was the last time that we changed providers? Because I feel like there was a number of years that providers kind of went back and forth, and Vicky's not here to answer that, but
No, we were with Health Partners for maybe 4 or 5 years, I think at least.
okay.
We've been with Blue Cross, Blue Shield,
2 years.
2 years, and so this would be to Medica. There's a significant advantage to going to Medica. Part of the process is we connect with employees to make sure that they can still use their primary care doctor.
Okay.
But specifically for cost that will help the employee is that their deductible under this plan actually goes down, so they have less out of pocket. So it not only helps the city, but it helps the employee because they have less cost risk to their plan. So other than getting a new insurance card, there really shouldn't be any noticeable impact to the employee.
Okay. And Blue Cross, what did they come in at?
17.9.
It was like a 0.5%
Yes.
higher.
But
Okay.
the
But the-
deductible was 5,600, I think.
Yeah, the deductible increased significantly.
And this one will be 3,400
Okay.
individual.
And the same network for the most part.
Same
Yes.
network,
Okay.
but we did just switch brokers. Like I said, we went from AIG or something to USI.
Okay.
Just-
That's fine, I just wanted,
Yeah.
again, if
No,
there's
good question.
pretty even,
Yes.
so, okay.
Yep. Quickly, just from last time, I just wanna put some reminders out there. We're still proposing a fire department pension increase from 5,200 annually to 5,500 per year of service. This will require a city contribution of $20,000. If council is on board, so looking for direction on that still. Farmers Market, Southwest Transit is still in there, Chaska Parks and Rec, and then Spring Cleanup Day.
Just go back to the fire department. Does
Yes.
anybody have any objections to that?
No.
This is the first time in a few years that we made a contribution.
Yes.
And I will never object to giving our firefighters more.
Perfect. And then just reviewing, I didn't change the general fund revenues.
Oh, sorry, Southwest, I was still looking at
Oh,
Southwest.
yeah.
So where are we year-to-date for what we paid out to Southwest?
For Prime.
Yeah, for Prime.
We can get back to you.
Yes,
Okay, that would be good,
absolutely,
soon.
yes.
I mean, as the council meetings come up in the next,
Yeah.
it's getting
It's
close
coming
to the
up.
end of the year already.
I know.
Close, yeah.
We are under budget.
I know, I know.
Have we heard anything from Chaska about changes to the recreation partnership rate with the construction at the community center? I know there's been murmurings.
Yep, so
about
we're,
that.
I think I think
That's
it's,
a number of years off.
Okay.
yeah, we have an existing agreement that either runs through next year or the year after, I don't know from memory. But they have mentioned, their city administrator has mentioned they want to totally kind of relook at how those costs are charged pending their improvement to the community center. So, great question, just don't have any additional information to share.
It's an acceptable answer.
I didn't make any changes to the revenues or the expenses because I don't know who is enrolling in health insurance, but you will get those numbers at our next update. Just a reminder that the increase was about 9.4%. And then we're looking at the total capital levy broken out, street maintenance.
And folks still haven't, to my knowledge, received their truth in taxation statements. So those should be, I'm suspecting no later than this weekend, folks will be getting those. So that's when most of the, I would say, community comments and questions come about. And Lynn will be presenting a draft of her truth in taxation presentation at your next work session, so you'll have the ability to provide some comments on that as well.
And you'll see a resolution and memo tonight about, forgoing this debt service, or lowering the debt service levy for 2026, just temporarily in our strategy to kind of reallocate that to the facilities capital, if you remember that. And just general fund levy history, I'm going really fast because we've seen this, but proposed levy right now is at 11.39% increase. That makes our tax rate at 42.35. These are some options if you want to cut the rate down. To a 10.5, we'd have to cut 43,000, 9.5, 92,000, and so on. And that's all I have. As Brent said, November 17th, truth in taxation. We'll do the fee schedule and the actual truth in taxation December 1, and then we'll finalize everything December 15th.
Any quick questions for Lynn, or do you guys want to hold it for
I
me?
think we should hold.
Yeah.
Do you have questions?
I'm not I don't think so, but.
Okay.
Lynn's gonna be at the regular meeting.
Yeah.
anyways.
All right,
Yeah.
Okay,
then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Conrad, second by Pershman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, we will start our meeting in 6 minutes here.